How's everybody doing today? Excellent. Okay, I want to start off today by, I want everyone to start off by doing a little activity. You guys know what a thumb war is? Yes. All right, so grab your partner, lock hands, pick somebody, don't be shy, we're not going to bite. And the point of this little activity is to pin down your partner's thumb for a couple seconds. All right, I want everybody to think of what exactly you're doing right now. All right, that was fun. Let's continue. So, can anybody tell me what we just did? Does anybody have any idea? Okay, yes. Obviously, we have a lot of laughter. So we had too much fun already. So I've heard a lot of people say that what we did, we just played a game. However, I think what we did was we had a little fun, and what we did was play. And there's a very important distinction between a game and play. And let's look at some of the characteristics of play and game to understand those things. So what is play? Play is free, its outcome is unpredictable, it's uncertain. A game, there are goals, there are rules. And there's almost this kind of seriousness about it. We're trying to win in a sense. And I want to make this distinction today because I want to talk to you today about the importance of play. And I'm here to talk to you about my drive to enable play through the development of skateboard parks and programs, and how skateboarding can be used to connect with youth, and we can use this to promote play and mentorship, and how we can work a little bit together to make this happen. So over the past half century, we've noticed a number of developed nations who have experienced sharp declines in children's free play. Not only has play fallen for children, but it's fallen for adults as well. And it's something we're doing less and less as a society. Interestingly enough, over this same period, mental illness and physical well-being for both children and adults has fallen. And we've seen increases in anxiety, depression, feelings of helplessness, and narcissism. Now, the leading expert on play actually discovered this kind of connection looking at murderers. And he was researching murderers in the United States and trying to figure out some sort of connection between all of them. And what he noticed was that among all these murderers, they had a lack of free play in their youth. So the most noticeable decline in children's free play has been with other children. And even in the 70s and 80s, you could walk around in any neighborhood and see kids playing with other kids. Today, you are lucky to see anyone outside. And if you do so, they're probably at arm's reach within a parent, or they're under the direction of a coach. This is a really cool term, nudity. Does anybody know what it means? Well, it's the retention of play and juvenile traits in adults. And you know who the biggest species on the planet that embody this? It's human beings. We run, we play, we kiss, we dance. It's really an important part of who we are. And from birth to death, we are designed to play. There are enormous benefits to play. Children actually learn and develop as they play. And in play, we learn how to make decisions, solve problems, exert self-control, and follow rules. And play is actually one of the #1 ways we learn to regulate our emotions. And as adults, play is extremely important as it promotes creativity and happiness. And when we gather to play, we experience often this feeling of community. And in a sense, we rediscover the natural adult environment for our species, which is to work in small groups to sustain each other. So play is a doorway to learning. It stimulates our imaginations, helping us adapt and solve problems. And it arouses curiosity, which leads to discovery and creativity. So play embodies things like curiosity, discovery, novelty, risk-taking, and all these really important things which are the same components as learning. There's a very strong case to be made for the changes in mental and physical health that are linked to the amount and type of play that we do, both as children and adults. And in order to combat this decline in play, we need to really ensure that we help change the environment in which we play and kind of change the patterns of thinking that enable people to play. And enabling play and connecting to youth is why I'm here today. And when I was asked to do this lecture, I had no idea why they asked me. And it was only until I started researching into play that I found out that I have a love for play. My love for play is a love for skateboarding. And skateboarding is one of the true forms of play. And I've spent the last 15 years riding this useless wooden toy. So 2 years ago, I opened up Antique Skate Shop. And what we saw in the city is we saw really a lack of a store that represented what skateboarding was about. And what we think is skateboarding is about fun. And there's been an over-commercialization of our activity. So we opened our doors to kind of change the way that people look at skateboarding. And after opening the store, I realized that we needed to also communicate to the city of Ottawa. In order to express ourselves in a concise, organized fashion, we organized the Ottawa Skateboard Community Association. And essentially, the Ottawa Skateboard Community Association is a nonprofit in which we use as a vehicle to communicate with the city of Ottawa about the needs and wants of our community. And through these organizations, I've really had an amazing opportunity to promote play and to promote skateboarding and really push for more skateboard parks and programs in the city of Ottawa. And one of those programs I've really had a lot of success with is For Pivot's Sake. And For Pivot's Sake is a program where we collect used skateboard equipment and donate it to low-income communities. What I noticed is a lot of skateboards were getting thrown in the garbage. So when we opened up, we said we have to do something about this. So we collected these boards and we went into one of the lowest income communities in the city of Ottawa and we gave a whole bunch of boards away. And we were so excited to see the happiness of these kids who were getting boards. Those emotions did not take long to change when we realized that the kids were not excited about getting skateboards. They were excited about getting anything. This community really needed our help. These kids had nothing. And I was excited to be able to kind of promote play and give them something that they could use. And this involvement with these kids inspired me to further push skateboarding and skateboard programs. And I want to really give these kids the benefit of being able to do free play. So after pursuing that project, I realized that we really could do more for our community and other communities. So over the last few years, we've really been lobbying the city to push for more skateboard parks. In the last few months, we've really had some positive movement towards obtaining more and better skateboard parks for both the youth and adults. So you might be wondering, why skateboard parks? Why skateboarding? And I'm going to be the first to admit that there are a number of possible alternatives to providing recreational facilities and promoting play. However, I believe that skateboard parks provide a very unique alternative to what we're currently doing. And then to understand why these parks work, we need to look at why we are playing less and I'll think a little bit about mentorship. So does anybody have an idea why we are playing less as a society?
Internet.
Internet? Anybody else?
Video games.
Video games is one, okay. Anything else?
2 jobs.
Pardon?
2 jobs.
2 or 3 jobs, some of us have. So like most people and what has already been mentioned, we thought we could blame the decline in play in youth on technology. And the decline in children's play is often blamed on the seductive natures of television, computers, and the internet. And research shows that we are spending more time on our cell phones, which I hope nobody is on right now, and watching TV. And clearly these technological changes have made a difference. However, they are not the only reason we are playing less. Research shows that it's one factor in the reason we're playing less. So another kind of more important issue is this idea of parental controls. It has been said that America used to be the home of the brave. We call it now the nation of the wimps. And this is because of overparenting. The children of our future are fearful, self-entitled, risk-averse, and narcissistic. And you hear parents, leaders, sports managers say more things like, that's not suitable for our children. What about liability? That's inappropriate. This is not fair. And today's young are psychologically fragile. Today's parents, teachers, and leaders think that there are dangers lurking everywhere. We fear everything, and this type of behavior and thinking is a more significant factor in the decline of play. In addition to this over-parenting, we also have this element of over-seriousness. We're really focused on being so serious, and we place so much emphasis on things like doing well in school, raising your grade point average, finding a career, being professional, and maintaining one's image. We've changed our value system and really focus on the commercialization of almost everything. And we're giving more weight to what we call adult-oriented activities. And we see this in both ourselves and our work environments, our social lives and our personal lives. And combined with this concept of over-parenting, we're really losing our freedom to have fun. Now finally, the last reason that we are playing less is that we really lack environments that are suitable to promote play, both from a recreational standpoint and in our workspaces. We don't really need to look much further than the city of Ottawa to lack any kind of creativity in parks and recreation management. The city of Ottawa, like many other municipalities, seem to have a stamp when it comes to promoting play. What happens is a developer like Minto goes into an area, they build houses, and the city of Ottawa comes in and they say, all right, we're going to put a basketball court, we're going to put a children's playground, we're going to put a soccer field, and my favorite, an empty field. And you look around and no kids and no adults are out playing in these facilities. And I'll tell you what I do see people playing in are skateboard parks. The city of Ottawa currently has one permanent concrete custom skateboard park. And every single day in the spring, summer, and fall, I see people using that facility. So we've gone over 3 reasons why we're playing less. 1, we have this kind of shift in technology. 2, we've got this over-parenting and, idea of being so serious. And the 3rd is that we lack facilities and programs to promote play. Now, as leaders, we only have so much control of these issues. We cannot change the pace of technology. There's nothing we can do about it. What we need to do is kind of think of how we can work with this to promote play. And since many of us, unfortunately yet, I hope, are not in positions of power, or we have families of our own, we cannot greatly influence policy and certainly not influence parenting techniques that are going to allow for us to change the way that we think about play. Now, we certainly can change it within ourselves, and that's a good way to start, but there's more that we can do. And the one thing that I think we can do is to lobby to change our recreational and workspaces to promote play, which in turn we know is going to promote healthy lifestyles, boost self-confidence, and provide a place to connect with youth. And restoring these play environments is invariably a group effort for adults. And there are a number of ways we can improve our recreational facilities and work environments. And I personally think, went a little faster. I personally think one manner of increasing play is through skateboarding and skateboard parks. And like I said, this is not the only thing we can do, but it's one thing that we should consider when we start to think about play and bringing this idea of fun and creativity into our own lives. And I'll tell you why I think skateboarding and skateboard parks can help promote play and connect with youth. And the first one is so easy, skateboarding is playing. And if you recall, play is an activity that's freely chosen and directed by the participants, undertaken for its own sake. And unfortunately, many of the activities that we think are playing are not. And we've really focused away from thinking that something is play when it really isn't. Skateboarding is one of these few activities whose sole purpose is to have fun. There is no reward. There is no financial gain. And you know what? It does not help me with the girls. It does not help me get a job. It does nothing. It's very fun. And skateboarding and skateboard parks are really in line with this concept of playing. And given it the benefits of playing, this is, again, something we should start thinking about. In addition to being itself a playful activity, skateboarding and skateboard parks are really more in line with the youth generation, what we call the me generation. They place less emphasis on team sports and community. They engage more in individual sports like skateboarding, snowboarding, all those type of things. And as such, sports managers, policymakers, and leaders, we really need to think about youth culture and the varied subcultures if we are to design recreation space and workspace that promotes play. Skateboarding and skateboarding parks are research has shown that skateboarding and skateboard parks actually get kids and adults out to play more, even in the face of things like cell phones and overparenting. They're really more effective at getting today's youth to participate in sport and activity. And finally, the nature of skateboarding lends itself well to combating the idea of overparenting. Activities like skateboarding really have no rules, there's no formalities, and it's very hard to regulate and organize. And this freedom to play in an environment which parents and policymakers cannot control is invaluable to promoting play. So we've made the case for skateboarding and skateboard parks as they have the ability to enhance play. However, there's one more aspect that I want to talk about which I really think is important. And it's this idea of mentorship. Skateboarding and skateboard parks provide this natural form of mentorship. And many mentorship programs recognize the need for adults to simply spend time with youth. And what makes skateboarding an amazing vehicle for doing this is that it naturally allows for adults and children to spend time together. In a non-programmed fashion, adults and children are forced to interact with each other and with other skateboarders from different backgrounds, races, genders, social classes. And this connection between different groups of skateboarders allows for social interaction and natural mentorship. Without guidelines, ice time, or rules, skateboard parks may have a variety of different types of users interacting and using the same environment. And this is really what is key about skateboarding and skateboard parks, which is a perfect tool for mentorship, is that users from different backgrounds use the facilities at the same time as equals. And this does not exist in many other activities. I'll tell you a little bit about this photo because this is something that really inspires me. This photo was taken from a program we ran in the summer where we went into old skateboard parks and put our own time, resources, and money into fixing them up. And you can see here we actually used our own concrete to kind of change this obstacle. Now these two people are part of our community. Jeff, who I think is about 30, and Brendan, who is about 16. They're working together on this project. And Jeff was teaching him how to improve the park. And like I said, this doesn't happen in other areas. And it's this type of mentorship that really makes skateboarding special. So I believe in the power of skateboarding and skateboard parks, and I have been lobbying the City of Ottawa to build more of these facilities throughout our city. And last year we were successful in convincing Councillor Diane Holmes to allocate a portion of a redevelopment budget for the McNabb Park at the corner of Bronson and Gladstone. Whoa, that's backwards. Sorry. You can kind of get an idea what's going on there. Anyways, so we lobbied Diane Holmes. Diane Holmes gave $300,000 out of $1 million budget to build a skateboard park at the corner of Bronson and Gladstone. So come next summer, we will have a permanent outdoor, fully custom concrete skateboard park right in our downtown core. That is something very unique that does not exist in almost any municipality across North America. Thank you. So we've talked a little bit about how play can impact both our mental and physical well-being. And it also has the ability to help us problem solve and become more creative. I think skateboarding really embodies play in a very meaningful way, and it's something that I will continue to push as long as I can through both the store and the nonprofit. However, I do not expect everyone today to go out and pick up a skateboard, and that is not why I am here. What we need to start thinking about is what skateboarding represents. And to me, it's an activity that is freely chosen by the participant and undertaken for its own sake, not consciously pursued to achieve ends that are distinct from the activity itself. The value of free play depends on its self-directed and intrinsically rewarding nature. And it's this type of thinking and activity that I need you all to think about today and pursue as we become leaders for tomorrow's future. And if you take anything away from my talk today, I hope to inspire you to pursue play in your daily life. And forget about winning or losing all the time. I urge the people around you to do the same. Do not concern yourself with liability, image, appropriateness, or professionalism too much. I want each and every one of you today to go out and start to play. Thank you very much. Do I stand up here?
Yeah, so we're going to kick off the Q&A. I wouldn't mind starting myself, if that's okay. Aaron, could you tell everyone here a little bit more about 1 square foot and for pivot's sake?
Sure. So, I mentioned to the organizers, I'm not a big fan of shameless self-promotion, but what we are doing. So we have this program. It's called 1 square foot. There was a kind of a miscommunication between the City of Ottawa and us. The city allocated 13,000 square feet to that corner, but they only gave $300,000, and it's very expensive to build a skateboard park. So that $300,000 is going to get us about 7,000 square feet. So I took some advice from my mother, actually, and she asked me, and I ask you this question, is how do you eat an elephant?
1 bite at a time.
Thank you very much. Yes, okay. Yeah, unfortunately, yes it is. So we broke this project down into 1 square foot. So 1 square feet. So we're trying to sell the park 1 square foot at a time. Every $40 makes 1 more square foot of skate park. And what I really love about this program is, although our goal is $200,000, every dollar actually makes a difference. This isn't something that's maybe going to happen. The city is putting in this park. So every dollar that we get, we add a little bit more to that skate park. The Pivot Safe program, like I mentioned, we're kind of giving back to low-income communities by donating used skateboard equipment. And we actually just formed an alliance with the Rotary organization, who works very heavy in the Banff-Ledbury area, which is the poorest area in the city of Ottawa. And we hope next year to start to do some programming with these kids. And what I have learned from actually my father, who is heavily involved in a lot of volunteer work, is that you have to make the goal of any program not to save everybody, because you can't save everybody. The goal of this program really is to get 1 kid to kind of change their path. And if I may rant a little longer, I have a personal story. A very, very close friend of mine, I met him at a skate park. And at the time, he was not going to high school, and no one in his family had finished high school at that point. And we kind of brought him into our small group of friends, and we kind of pushed him. We're like, maybe you should go back to Adult High. And we convinced him to go to Adult High. And he finished. He was the first person to finish high school in his family. We pushed him a little more, said, you got a talent for drawing. Maybe you should think about going to Algonquin for design. I actually lent him his first year's tuition. He was the first person in his family to graduate college. And I'm very proud of him now because he's an active member of our community, and I think that connection was made through skateboarding. So the goal of this program is to save 1 kid in an avenue like that, and I'd be very happy. So questions?
How do you buy 1 foot?
Pardon?
How do you buy 1 foot?
1squarefoot.ca.
Number 1.
Number 1, thank you. Number 1squarefoot.ca. And a big thing, what I'm looking for is large-scale donations. So what I'm trying to do is connect with people who say, might have a connection with Taggart Construction, who was willing to give $10,000. We made our first breakthrough a couple weeks ago with Imperial Electric, and they committed to matching every single one of donations from their own suppliers. So I'm hoping that's going to be a significant donation. So if anybody knows of anyone with a lot of money, please tell them to email me.
I think there was a question back there.
How far are you away from the target at this point? Do you know? Sorry, I don't
Very.
need it. I'm just
We're at about 10 grand.
okay.
However, like I said, we just formed this alliance with Rotary, where they have the ability to issue tax receipts, and any large-scale organization will not give you $1 if you cannot give them a tax receipt. So now that we have this ability, I feel like things will skyrocket.
In terms of skate parks, I have to say that at the beginning I was not a proponent for skate parks. I'm from Thunder Bay and they were setting one up there and I was like, why are you doing this? A bunch of people are just going to stand around and get high. Like, that's my first reaction to skate parks. And now that I've gone back to Thunder Bay and I see it's always packed, and I see that people are actually getting out and doing something, and I think that's exactly the point that you helped get across. But as you're lobbying, is that a common reaction that you're hearing from other people? Like,
All the time.
I would assume.
And I really like that argument because there's a few holes in it. One of which it rests on the assumption that there's a higher proportion of skateboarders who are engaging in illegal activity than any other part of our society. As you all, I hope all well know, we had a hockey goalie who had a cocaine problem. So who's to say really, unless to me somebody can show me the numbers that say there's actually a higher proportion of people who are doing these activities, then to me that's not really a strong argument. The other thing is, even if there were, why are we not providing them space in which they could meet somebody else and go on a different life path? Perhaps there is a connection that skateboarders are drawn to alcohol and drugs as they are drawn to skateboarding for whatever reason. So why don't we use that as kind of something we can utilize to maybe save a few of them, as opposed to just isolating all of us. And the smoking marijuana is a whole other issue that we're not going to get into. But you can ask me about that after.
I'd like to hear more about antiques and everything. I know as a business practice, you guys kind of just funnel in the whole play atmosphere, and it kind of branches out to the whole community and everything. It was great. And I'd just like to hear more about how that came about and started up and everything.
Sure. So I actually studied business and economics in school. I have an MA in economics. So business is in my blood. My father was an entrepreneur for 30 years. And it just made sense to start the shop. I believe in a different view on business. One of the things that really bothers me is a lot of people say, you can't do that, or this is not the way that the industry works. And my response is, the industry works how you make it work. So what we do is we try to do things a lot different. For example, we sponsor a group of kids. And I tell all those kids, well, they're not kids, they're like 19, but I tell everyone we sponsor, if you don't finish high school, we're not going to give you anything. And we're actually going to kick you, we're going to kick you off our team. Also, the whole giving back, to me, I believe businesses have this ability to kind of do more and connect with communities. So, why are we not doing that as a business? Also, I hope, and what a lot of things we do is we really try to do the best that we possibly can, and I hope that the shop and what we do and our image really speaks for itself, is that we really work hard and we don't really need to say much or more than working hard, providing the best service we can, doing these programs, and that really should speak for itself. Anything else?
Comments about the difference between a purpose-built skate park and allowing skateboarding in public space. you know, there's so many benches and curves and things where they are intentionally preventing skateboarding. So I mean, is the skate park kind of like, well, at least we'll have an area, or is there a benefit to it being kind of purposeful in one space?
Oh, you're getting like, that's like such a heated debate we would have at a Friday night at the shop. It's a very good question. So I guess the difference is what we call street skating. I grew up with no skate parks. So what my view on skateboarding was bust downtown and kind of utilize the space which exists already. That is something which is very important, and kids and adults still need to do, because that's wherein lies a lot of this. There's a lot of other types of learning and play that you gain from that. You learn how to deal with authority. You learn how to deal with public. A lot of problem solving. We get kicked out of spots, so it's something that you kind of like. There's this whole other element to street skating, which I think is very, very important. However, I also believe that skateboard parks have a lot of benefits for both youth and adults to allow them to, go and do whatever they do. Any other questions? Comments?
Thanks a lot, Aaron. I think that, yeah.